Hello, I'm John McAllister with the John McAllister Report. Today, we're going to get away from coaching, get away from players, and we're going to talk to a young man in Columbus, Ohio, Dominic DJ Jones. I wrote about him back in 2004 when he was a defensive back at Columbus Brookhaven, and then he went on to college in Minnesota, and then he came back and played the last year at Otterbein College. So what DJ has done is used his talents and his concerns for kids and in the city, kids in Columbus, and he's developed a program, the Legacy Youth Sports Academy. And in that program, they deal with kids from 8 to 18 and talk about and getting them ready for the next level, teaching them things about what they don't learn in school sometimes, about different programs, how to check out colleges, how to continue to develop their lives in a correct way, to not learn bad habits, and to develop in both good young men and women. I'm excited for him. He works hard. He's running a Columbus Academy sports combine where kids will come in and do drills and testing, things like that, and then just get them ready to go to the summer camps. And I think it's for boys, both boys and girls. But I know the academy itself, they work with preparing girls for sports and just to get it's a great adventure for him. I'm excited for him and look forward to seeing him soon. If you get a chance, do one more thing. If you could push the like button or the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. That helps me and helps me get subscribers. Obviously, that's the name of the game. Besides giving you good information. Thank you. As I said in my intro, my guest today is from Columbus, Ohio, Dominic DJ Jones. And I honestly, DJ, this is the biggest reason I have you on here, okay? How are you?
I'm great, man. I couldn't be more better, man. I'm thriving here in Columbus, Ohio, back home where I'm rooted at, man. Just helping the youth. So I'm good.
That's really good. I put on the bottom in 2004, Brookhaven high school graduate. Now, you don't have Brookhaven anymore, but, man, I love that place. Yeah. Greg Miller, your coach, and then a guy in Cleveland, Dave Sedmak, were two of the best white coaches working with predominantly black kids back in those days.
Yeah.
You got to be honest. That's true.
Yeah.
They were so good. Then I know he's African American, but Marv Whiting also. He was one of those guys. Whenever he said anything, I listened to him.
Yep.
That makes sense to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those were good guys. And then I put on their giving back, and I give these guys, because I started doing this over 30 years ago. And back in those days, they just didn't have the quality of African-American coaches that they do now.
Yeah.
That they do now. And, I used to, honestly, I felt bad for some of you guys because you were getting coached, but not like you are now. Not like you guys are doing. So anybody that comes back to the community, Pepper Johnson's son, I forget his first name.
Deontay,
he's given, and he's always friendly. He's given back to the community. Yeah. And you guys have walked it, so But anyway, end of that sermon. But giving back is important, and I think it's most important. Now, tell me a little bit about you. you graduated in 2004,
Mhm.
and Mitch talked you into going to Minnesota, right? Mitch Browning.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
He could sell ice to an Eskimo.
He can.
Great coach, by the way. And
Hmm.
then a couple of other your brothers, I think, went too, didn't they? With you?
Yep, yep. I had a two brothers and a childhood friend.
Okay. Well, then you transferred back
Hmm.
to Otterbein, or you
Yep,
sat out a year, then you transferred back to Otterbein. And for
yep,
heaven's sakes, I read all this stuff. You
yeah.
were you made D2 All American. Is that right?
D3 All American. Yeah,
D3,
yep,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, D3
yep,
All American.
yep. D3 All American year one there.
That's great. Tell me,
Yeah,
I wish more kids would, I don't mean kids, but more players would stay home. Tell
absolutely.
me about your foot. Give me one piece of advice that you would tell football players that want to play college football at the next level. Give me your thoughts on that.
Obviously working with a lot of young people, this is something that parents usually want to know too, and just kind of the best advice. And I think the advice I would give uh 10, 15 years ago was probably a little bit different than the advice that I would give now.
Okay.
To be honest, I think that the things that I try to instill in my athletes right now is one, understand that you're a brand. From the time that you're 14, 15, Aaron in high school as a freshman, you now have to start thinking about your name, image, and likeness, right? Where it wasn't necessarily a thing back then, but now it's utterly important for athletes just to understand the true brand value, right? And if you ever want to have opportunity to maximize your name, image, and likeness, you better start now. I mean, we see a lot of athletes. I mean, the NFL draft is coming up, where they might pull up a tweet or they might pull up a post from when a kid was 15 or 14 and say, hey, this kid is racist. This kid, said an anti-Semitic slur or whatever, but they don't understand. And we didn't have to deal with social media back then. You know what I mean? But now there's such a it could be good or bad for an athlete. So we really just try to focus in, hey, the brand awareness, social media training, one. And then we always tell, hey, listen, man, you want to go to the school who wants you. A lot of times I think athletes get fixated on one particular school or opportunity. And they really should keep their options open. They really should understand that the school who wants you, they'll let you know. And you got to go to the school that best fits you. And if you're good enough, they'll find you. If you're good enough, they'll find you no matter where you're at. And so I think that's one of the hardest things, just to try to get through our athletes, but we just try to uh, hone in on that.
It only takes one guy to like you, too, right?
That's it. Only takes
One
one.
guy. And
That's
then
it.
and if you connect, and I think I want to talk about more things, but I think they help you to add to what you said. I think kids get caught up in wanting to be fans rather than trying to find a job playing football someplace. They
Absolutely.
get caught up on like going to, the measurement stick in Columbus is going to Ohio State. Well, those days are over.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got to cut to and we haven't talked for a long time, you and I, but I'm an honest guy.
Yeah.
And I can tell it like it is, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Tell me about your Cleveland Gladiators. Tell me about indoor football. Tell me about.
Yeah, it was one of the best times of my life. Obviously, arena football has been around for years, and for me to be able to partake in that, it was a different speed. It was fun. It was action packed. It was physical. Um, and we were owned by Dan Gilbert, and so so we played in the same building as the Cavs and or Cleveland Monsters, and the whole crew. So, we were one of the most thriving organizations. We was able to make it to an Arena Bowl and had some successful seasons there. But I think man, football is football, and I think that I still got lifelong relationships that I took from there, or whatnot, man. But it's a fast game. It's fast and physical and action packed, man. And so you get a chance to interact with fans. Fans are right up on you. You can end up in the lap of a fan, going over those walls.
Good.
But man, I had great success there. and that ultimately led to really everything I'm doing now. That kind of kick-started everything I'm doing now, honestly.
That's really good. And I must add, unless you've grown a lot, you're not much taller than 5'9".
I am not. I am not. I have not grown at all. But yeah, it was an awesome experience, and again, I take
And a heck
that
of a punt and kickoff return guy, I think.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Tremendous stock at Brookhaven.
Yeah.
Okay. Tremendous stock. Okay. And then you tell me about coaching. You coached for a year someplace, didn't you? I mean, actually, did you coach at the Gladiators?
I did. I did. So
I
before
think that's huge
yeah,
because you're especially with those guys. I mean, there are a lot of egos there.
a lot of egos. I mean, when guys start getting paid, to play the game, right? And at that time, I was young, but I was very knowledgeable, and I had the respect of the league. I had the respect of players, and I had done it. And so it was different being player coach relationship and having to potentially cut players and release players. That's not an easy thing, to do. But it was tremendous experience for me. I was able to turn boys into men. I was able to start to transition athletes' minds to life after sports and help them navigate what that looked like for them. Where I think most coaches sometimes they just coach, but for me, I love the opportunity to talk to our players about, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
They're like, huh? I'm like, you can't do this forever. So what's next? And so I started to challenge them on their thought process, and that was always good for me. So to build those relationships, which led me to the football ops side. That was kind of stepping stone. I coached first, and then I elevated to the football operations side.
That's super. Okay. Now, DJ, I want to go into another area, and I've asked college coaches this, high school coaches this, and to me, you're both. Okay.
Mhm.
So, number one, what aspects of working with athletes, male, female, I think you do both, don't you?
Yes, we do.
And because I saw where you had something, a program where just girls participated.
Hmm.
But I know we can go into that later. I just skimmed that. I probably wrote it down someplace. But what aspect do you get most excited about working with those guys? What really, really moves you, really gets you going and stuff?
I think for me, I mean, I work with athletes right now from ages of 5 all the way up to 18.
Right, right.
And I think what drives me is when I see an athlete that is just putting in the time, the energy, the hard work, the effort, to ultimately get to a goal, a dream that they've talked about, that they're thinking about, right? And for me, it's like, how can I help this kid get to where he or she is going to, right? And that comes in different forms. All athletes are not created equal, you know. And I think I love the science of how can I tap into an athlete because everybody aren't motivated by the same factors.
No,
No different than a teacher having a classroom full of students. Everybody just doesn't learn the same.
they're
So
not
for
all.
me,
They're
trying
not.
to put together that puzzle, yeah, trying to put together that puzzle on how can I pull the best out of this athlete? What buttons do I have to press, to get the response that I'm looking for? I love that challenge right now as a coach, right? And I think that there's not enough mentors out here who are willing to have the patience with a kid to find out what helps them tick, find out what helps them, go and what motivates them. So I've enjoyed that aspect. I've enjoyed really just producing good people. I think that I'm a huge advocate. I never tell my kids what happens if you don't make the league. I never use that frame. Hey, what happens if you don't make the league? I always say what happens after you're done in the league.
Yeah.
And I say that to not disparage them or not discourage them from actually making it to the league, but more importantly, what you're gonna do when you're done, because the game's gonna come to an end one day. And what does life look like for you? What do you want to do with the rest of your life? Because the professional sports it's not that long unless you're the Tom Brady's or the Aaron Rodgers of the worlds, or which a lot of careers don't last that long. What are you going to do next? So the challenge of challenging them on the opposite side too, which is why we provide a lot of holistic programming outside of sports.
What maybe you've answered this, and I think maybe you've answered it before. But what's the greatest challenge for kids now, or young athletes now, from 5 to 18, or what's the greatest challenge you see? Have you answered? Maybe you've already answered it.
Well, I've in different forms, but I'll say I think the greatest challenge is that they have to live through their mistakes online. You know what I mean?
I
I
know.
think that the power of social media is giving people stuff in real time, and you can't sometimes afford to make a mistake and work through it and live through it without it being so public. You know what I mean? I think that when I was younger, man, kids did a lot of stupid things. We and we would have did things that were embarrassing to to the world too. But we had people around us to help us work through that, and we overcame it. But now, the power of social media and everybody's so quick to record everything that's going on, you don't have an opportunity to really grow up and without it being so publicized and make your mistakes behind the scenes and work through it. So I think that's one of the challenges that the athletes have, is that they just feel like they have to live their life through social media even to get known or their popularity, right? Everything has to be posted online. Every workout has to be posted. Every motivation, everything that coach said, like everything has to be posted online. And that wasn't the case back then, but I think that's a challenge now.
I totally agree, and I think I've done this for a long time, but even back 30 years ago, and I'm stroking myself here, but I think one of the things is I try to look deeper than the kid, deeper than the skin. What's with him? What makes him tick? And I think that's one thing that has helped me get trust from people, because they know I'm honest, and they know that if these, heck, I can ask anybody about colleges they like, all these media guys, like Rivals and Ohio State writers. I know more than those guys.
Right.
I don't say anything. I know more, but I don't say anything because I told the kids I wouldn't.
Right.
And that's just, and what you say is true. And I think the other thing is, everybody would rather be negative. That negativism sells.
It does.
You
It
can
really
have, I'm not going to use anybody's name, but
Yeah.
he could be the greatest kid in the world, doesn't make mistakes. Shoot, he's just a guy in the media, social
Right.
media.
Right.
But those guys, okay, I have one more. Two questions yet on this. How important do you think an athlete's image is? You've kind of talked about it, I think. I can jump to another question, but do you have anything to add to that? It's really important, but you've kind of answered it, I think.
Yeah, I think image is everything, and I think that at as a young athlete, you don't really fully understand it sometimes, the magnitude of it. I tell people all the time, while I was getting recruited, I treated every coach with the utmost respect.
Yeah.
And dignity. I answered every call. I responded, to messages and letters, and I never disrespected anybody, and wanted to make sure my image was, hey man, respectful kid, hardworking, and I got this thing, and I learned it when I was with the Cavs. It's I treat everybody from the janitor to the CEO the same. And I think that image alone will allow you to build long relationships and build bonds that'll last forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I learned that at an early age, and I've carried that throughout my life, and it's served me well, more so than it's hurt me at all. And, to have a good image, because you can always go back and ask for those favors.
Okay, let's talk about what you do now, and that's I want to promote your program, but I think it's so important to see where you're coming from, and that's why we talked earlier about now I know more about. I'm going to listen to you because I know. I mean, if I'm a parent, so tell me about what you're doing now.
So right now I'm executive director for Legacy Sports Academy.
Okay.
And man, we're a holistic nonprofit organization that puts an emphasis on providing resources and opportunities for kids ages 5 through 18, predominantly from the inner city kids. Not only athletic opportunities from training, speed and agility, strength conditioning, recruiting opportunities, etc., but we also provide the enrichment side. We talk through financial literacy. We talk through tech. And STEAM. We talk through. We take kids on HBCU tours and college tours in general. We do a lot of things outside of the game that kids ultimately might not get through their normal course and curriculum at school. And I think that for us, that's us. I mean, we were D1 athletes between me, my cousins, and a few other guys that's here in Columbus. So we know what it takes to get there, but we also know where the pitfalls are at too, and we speak openly and honestly about our transgressions and things that we maybe weren't so proud of. And we're giving them real life examples, not something we read in a book.
Yeah.
We're giving kids and parents real life, real life examples of our lives, just so it can help impact theirs. And so, again, it's been gratifying. We've helped a lot of families. I mean, we get a lot of comments from families all the time. Say, hey, man, we really appreciate you guys. You helped me out. You helped me understand the recruiting process better. You helped me, you helped my kid, understand money better. You help my kid understand the judicial system better. I mean, so those are the things that kind of drives us right now that we're proud about.
How do you do that? Do you have meetings? Do they have get-togethers, or do you talk individually? How do you relate to that to the kids, to the athletes? I mean, I've seen where you've taken them on tours. What was a tour? You've been to different buildings and things like that. I want to say COSI.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just seems like I've seen you've taken groups there.
Yeah, I believe that experiences and exposure,
Right.
Opportunities are the things that will make our kids successful, not just on the field, but off the field as well. So
Right.
many of our kids haven't had the opportunity to leave outside of 270,
Oh,
right? And so now, if you're a kid from the age of 10, 11, 12, and before you even get to high school, you've been able to be exposed to the world outside of Columbus. It helps you just become that much more hungry and more well-rounded of an individual to go into the real world and be successful, right? And I think that that's what we've taken pride in. And again, see it as seeing is believing. We can't expect our kids to go places and do things that they ultimately never have been exposed to, right? Hey, you're supposed to get up, grow up, and you're supposed to play ball in the city, and then you're supposed to go to college. And it's like, well, I've never been there. I don't know what it's like. I don't know what it feels like. I don't know what the coaches look like. So they know what they see on TV and social media, but to physically go and experience that stuff is different, and it impacts them different.
Well, are you running a combine or a camp then too?
Yeah, so for our first year, so we'll be kicking off our DBC camp, and that's days before camp, and that's a exposure camp and combine. A lot of it is instructional for our young folks, but our goal is to be able to help parents with the recruiting process. If I know who a kid is from the time he's 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and we've been able to get some measurables on them, that's fine, that's cool. But ultimately, we're going to be collecting grade cards. We're going to be talking about, hey, does this kid come from a single parent home? And kind of get into the deep roots of who this kid is. So when we go to push this kid's profile to scouts, to recruiters, etc., they have a full gamut on this kid's life and what he's been through. I want them to know if a kid's father passed away when he was 11. I want them to know if he's been involved in any domestic violence situations as a kid, and what type of traumas he has, because now it helps that college coach recruit him and understand him better. So it's like, well, who's going to track that, right? Who's going to retain that information and help these kids from the time they're 8, 9, 10 years old all the way through the recruiting process? So that's what we want to be to our community. And that's what this whole DBC camp is about, May 3rd and 4th.
Coach, I really appreciate you taking 25, 20 minutes to talk about this. You
Absolutely.
know, I'm a inner city. I guess we're not supposed to say that anymore. It makes me a racist if I say, and I'm the farthest thing from you know that. But
Absolutely.
I think I just think that more work needs to be done, and I think it's tougher and tougher. But being around
Yeah.
you, and what you're doing is so good. I put there earlier, giving back, and I tell guys that all the time. It's so great to see, and I'm not dissing on anybody else, but you guys coming back and helping because
Yeah.
you understand what you've spent 25 minutes telling me. You understand the price. You understand what it takes.
Yeah.
Huge. It's huge.
Absolutely, John, man. Well, I appreciate you, man, and your platform and everything that you've done. Um, Specifically, for inner city kids and black and brown boys, man, where sometimes, man, they don't know what they don't know, right? And I think that you've been able to save a lot of lives that you might not even know, by getting kids out of here and helping them get recruited and putting them on the map. I mean, you could be saving a life, man. So I appreciate everything you do. I know I'll see you on the circuit, man. I'm always, I'm always running into you at the big events, man. So I love you for that, man. And just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much. Good to see you.
All right.
Okay.